Welcome to the Decoding HVAC podcast, powered by Fujitsu AirStage, bringing you smart solutions, industry trends, and pro tips to keep you in the know. Well, Matt, I'm going to bring something up. This past summer, I had the good fortune to go up to Canada and talk about our products with a group up there. And what it made me realize was that in the South, we always talk about these systems for their cooling capacity, but up north, even close to where you are, heating comes into play, right?
The further north you go, that's a consideration when we're doing our sizing, right? You start with the heating side and the cooling load and design, the secondary. So yeah, the further north you go, you got to think heating first.
And what about does efficiencies go up, CO2, all that stuff really come into play?
I mean, that's big, right? So the further north you go, there's a lot more utilities, rebates that come into play and a lot more incentives. So with those incentives, the utility companies are really having those benchmark thresholds in order to maximize rebates. The efficiency of the systems have been increasing steadily over the years. And so we've had to make sure that we've engineered our systems that we've been able to allow our contractors and homeowners and distributors to participate in those rebate programs.
So we had two products that we really focused on up there. We have our XLTH, which gives us heating down to minus 15 degrees. But the big one we talked about was the XLTH Plus, which gets us down to minus 22 degrees. Now, that doesn't seem like a big drop, but that's huge in that market.
Oh, it is. I mean, you'd be surprised what 7 degrees will do. This the difference. Just think about, what temperature water freezes at, right? It's not gonna freeze to 7 degrees warmer than 32 degrees. So
Right.
7 degrees makes a big difference. And so you're right. So our Orion product, both XLTH, XLTH Plus, have been really stewards of the industry and making sure that we are leading the pack on efficiency. When we start looking at how we designed our systems, especially moving from an R410A to an R32 refrigerant type, we really packed in the benefits of R32 efficiency. We kept our units pretty much the same size, so we allowed to pack in more refrigerant, more capacity, more efficiency in the system. But you're right, when we start talking about rated at negative 22 degrees, there's a tail off of efficiency. So the colder you get, the less capacity you're going to get. But keep in mind, we're rated at negative 22. Some of our competitors can't say that. I'm at 100% capacity at negative 15 degrees. So if I need 1 ton of cooling at 12,000 BTUs, right, and it's negative 15 degrees, I'm getting every bit that full 1 ton versus some of our competitors will say, hey, you're buying a 1 ton, but at that temperature rating, you may only be getting 9,000 to maybe 10,000 BTUs of heating.
I think the impressive thing on the XLTH Plus, we get down to minus 22 on the ton and a half. We're still 100% capacity.
We're over it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's we can show the at a later date we could talk about true specifics, but you got to think, just put it in perspective, right? A 9,000 BTU Orion XLTH Plus product for us, a 9,000 BTU at 47 degrees ish. I've actually got 24,000 BTUs capacity in that unit. Obviously, the colder it gets, that's when we start dropping down. But that just gives you the idea of the heating capacity that is packed into this thing. It was really big, and I'm glad you mentioned our northern neighbors, and I'm glad you spent some time with them because they're living and breathing that cold climate the majority of the year. And what we made sure of our system is when our systems do hit those rated temperature ratings, we don't have a shutoff. We don't have a hard cutout. Our competition does. That's big. Meaning, if I'm rated at negative 22 degrees, our systems will still run, still produce heat. Even if it's below negative 22, it may be a tail off or whatever. It may not be at 100% capacity or 90. I am still producing heat. Our competition, once they hit that rated, they shut off.
Yeah, they're going to lock out. Yeah.
They literally shut off. And then what's ironic, right? Once it's cold, especially in the northern climate, once it's cold, it typically stays cold for a couple, days or longer periods. For those manufacturers that have the cutoff, they have to wait for the ambient temperature to rise above a certain set point above the rated cutout. So we talked about 7 degrees earlier before from, a efficiency standpoint or from a rating standpoint. You may have some that may have to get 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees above that cutout before it even comes back on. So, one of the things that we touted in one of our previous episodes is being able to use Fujitsu ductless technology as primary heat. And we're seeing that because of this product line that we've launched. We're seeing that being primary heat specifically in northern markets where before it would have to be supplementary.
Gotcha. Also, we include with that system, Wi-Fi, backlit remote, that type of thing. But one thing that I never really thought about when we get further north that I don't deal with in the south is the built-in base pan heater, so you don't have ice build up on your outdoor unit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny, wind drifts from snow or whatever. When you go into a defrost where the system is making sure that any ice is forming on the coils, that it goes through a defrost, and all that melt off that happens when it falls into that base pan heater that's there melts that away. And when we look at our efficiency, so when we talk about the heating side, right? So cooling, we're at 33 to 28 SEER2 rating on the cooling side. That's huge. On the heat pump side, we rate that on a HSPF as a heating season performance factor. You're talking about 19, 16, 15 HSPF. That is phenomenal, heat. So we're producing something that some of our competition, clouts are getting there. But when we rate our systems, we include those base pan heaters into our rating systems, right? Because let's face it, it is a drain or a load on the electrical side.
Yeah, it's gonna have a draw to it.
Yeah, but some manufacturers say, yes, we can do that, but you have to add these field on accessories. And anytime that you add any field installed accessories that takes a load on the drain of the electrical side, it changes efficiency, no matter what someone tries to tell you, right? So we include that into our design, into our efficiency rating. So when we have it tested, that we know that we're producing the capacity both on a cooling side and heating side that we say we're doing.
So we walk through the test, right? So we have the system on, the system's running, and the pan heater is on.
That's right. Yeah, it goes through this algorithm, Darin, of cycling that thing on. So the pan heater is not always on. It goes through a cycle and anticipates the defrost, making sure that, hey, when I need to make sure that I have that burn off of that, whether it's from a defrost in the pan or snow melt, whatever, it goes through that cycle and makes sure that it's there when we need it.
Excellent. Matt, thanks for walking me through that. It was a great experience learning about a new product that we just don't see in the South that is a really great option for everybody in these colder climates to have, especially getting down to some of those extreme temperatures. So thanks for doing this with me today. If you have any topics you'd like us to go over, please reach out to us at decodinghvacpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.